Welcome guys to the Slowpoke World, and today we're finally covering Eternatus VMAX with a sneaky card that I haven't seen anyone put in their Eternatus list, and I think it's absolutely bonkers. So let's get to it. Like I said in the intro guys, it's here, Eternatus VMAX. What a boy, scary Pokemon. Let's get involved. So Eternatus VMAX, VMAX Pokemon, 340 HP, with an ability, Infinity Zone. As long as all your Pokemon in play are Dark types, you can have up to 8 Dark types on your bench. Okay, if you bench any Dark types at any time, the ability turns off and you have to discard down to 5. So on face value, if you ever played Mega Ray or Skyfield or anything like this, you'd remember a sort of similar effect. This time it only works for Dark types and it's an ability. That works for you and against you. Now that it's an ability, it frees up your Stadium slot, which is bonkers to think about. But it does mean you are limited to strictly Dark types. But let's have a look at the attack first. So the attack is for 1 Dark, 1 Colourless. Dread End is 30 times the amount of Dark Pokemon you have in play, and you can sort of see where the deck's going now. If you have a bench of 8 all Dark types, including the active, you hit for 270, I believe, which is silly. For 2 energy, you know, that's super cool. And Dark type do actually have quite a lot of support to the point where you can build a deck that just has Dark types. You can fill your bench up and get to rolling. So we play a full 4-3 of the Eternatus VMAX, okay? The Eternatus, the baby one, the Eternatus V, it's okay. It's a basic Pokemon, 220 HP. With 2 attacks, you've got, what's that, Power XL. For 1 Coalossal, you do 30 damage and attach a Dark from your discard pile. No, from your hand, isn't it? Yeah, from your hand to this Pokemon. So, you know, if you go in second, it's a nice little way to make sure you have 2 energy attached to your turns for next turn. It's not a bad little poke either. And then for 4 energy, you Dynamax Cannon, 120 plus, is it 100? Plus 120 more if your opponent's active is a VMAX. You can hit for 240 into a VMAX for 4. Let's be honest, that's not really an efficient attack. Against everything that's not a VMAX, you're doing 4 for 120, and against the VMAX, you're doing 4 for 240, sorry, which is not great. Well, sorry about that. So, like I said, the Eternatus V is not too great, but what it is a basic Dark type Pokemon, and all you want to do is fill your bench with Dark type. So, it won't be uncommon for you to have about 2 or 3s on the bench. Let's get into the card that really pushes this archetype and makes it a high tier contender for sure, and that is the Crobat V, okay? Again, if anyone's playing since Roaring Skies, it sounds familiar. Crobat V is a basic Pokemon that has an ability. When you put it from your hand to your bench, you can draw till you have 6 cards in your hand, okay? So if you remember Shaming the X, it's Shaming the X. The only difference is, though, is that you can't do multiple Crobats in a turn. You can only use Night Asset once, so very similar to Dedenne. In that scenario, in that case, but it's still a nut to Billy. Anytime you're seeing cards without playing supporters, it's insane. We've got a supporter in here called Peers. We'll get to him a little bit later, but that lets you play supporters like Peers that don't let you see cards without the drawback of not actually seeing cards for the turn. Like, let's say you play a Boss's Orders for the turn. Most of the time in any other deck, you're not seeing cards that turn. But with a Crobat, you can play your bosses and just Crobat after, and you're getting the best of both worlds, really. So we play a full 4 count of the Crobats. 180 HP is obviously super low, but it's not going to have a lot of HP as if it's this good. And then its attack is 2 for 70, and your opponent's Pokemon is poisoned. I mean, take it. I mean, it's a usable attack, I guess, but we shouldn't really be attacking with it. Retreat cost of 1. Now, we all know how good Spiritomb is, and like I said, we want to just play as many good Dark types as possible, and Spiritomb fits that bill perfectly, you know. 60 HP basic with an ability. Once during the turn, you can put 1 damage counter on this Pokemon. You know, at face value, it seems a bit counterproductive, but when it's attacked, there's an extra 30 for each damage counter on. You can sort of see where we're going. This is going to give us a really nice mid-game pivot. So, you know, once our first Eternatus goes down, or, you know, let's say it's took a couple prizes, or you've wounded another one of your opponent's VMAX, you can just have a Spiritomb on the bench since turn 1, just chilling, racking up damage, and then you can just come in swinging, hitting that 150 to 180 range. And you know it's super strong. Now, we haven't got the full support of like Jinx and stuff that other Spiritomb decks would have, but you know, I still think it's perfectly fine as an auxiliary attacker, and being able to transition from a 3 prize attacking Pokemon down to a 1 prize, it's just super strong. We then play 4 Galarian Zigzagoons just so we can have a little bit of extra damage. which is, you know, always well and good. Mostly just because it's a bench, it's a very easy to bench basic Pokemon that actually does something when you bench it, right? Like, there's hundreds of dark Pokemon you could play, but Zigzagoon actually gives us the benefit, you know, 1 retreat cost, and lets us rack up damage as well, so that's really cool. And then we've got 2 one-off Pokemon, one of which I haven't seen anybody play in their Eternatus lists. Here's a Hooper. That is not that Pokemon. If you remember Zapdos from Team Up, I'd like to say. Could be wrong there. Very reminiscent to that Zapdos. So Hooper is a basic Pokemon, 120 HP with an attack 1 for 90. If this Pokemon moved from your bench to the active this turn, it does 90 damage. If it doesn't, though, you do nothing, and it's not affected by weakness. So again, it just gives us a nice little pivot, really. You know, the maths with Eternatus VMAX is, let's say you hit them for a 270 and they knock you out. Hooper can just come in, swing in, let you clean up the KO and leave a 1 prize in the active, which is always strong, you know, whilst your Spiritomb are just on the bench chilling. So it just provides another little option against multiple Pfizer decks, and just lets you skew the price trade. And here's the Pokemon I haven't seen anybody play in their Eternatus list. This is the Nickit from Sword and Shield base, I believe, okay? And what Nickit does, 70 HP Pokemon with an attack for 1 energy. Your opponent shuffles their hand, puts it at the bottom of their deck, and then draws 3. So that's basically a Marnie for 1 less. And what this Nickit really lets you do in the early game, if you can get it going second, turn 1, you just put your opponent under so much pressure, right? Because, you know, we're seeing Crobats. We can draw out of that something like this very easily, right? But, you know, if you give your opponent 4 cards to start the game, essentially, right? And then next time we hit them for 270 with Eternatus VMAX, it's asking a lot, you know? They might not even be able to boss us around the Nickit. So let's say they even have an attack into Nickit, right? At least they're only taking 1 prize in that scenario, and you've still got plenty of time to do stuff, you know? And the card advantage that Nickit gains you is just insane. So we've played a couple games of it so far, and every time I've got it off, I just win the game pretty much, because it just limits your opponent's options so much. So Nickit, I think, I wouldn't go as far to call it an auto include, but I can tell you now, most of my Eternatus list will be playing 1. For Professor's research, you know, we need to fill our bench with 8 Pokemon. Like, let's not beat around the bush now. That's actually quite hard to do. So 4 research lets us do that, and in combination with Crobats, we're seeing a lot of cards every turn. For Piers is awesome, to be honest with you. Search your deck for 1 dark type Pokemon. Doesn't say basic, so you can grab Eternatus VMAX or literally any Pokemon you see here, for example. And an energy card. Doesn't say basic, so you can grab the new special dark energy. You know, you can grab a capture energy if you want that for whatever reason. Pierce is just one of those cards that just helps the deck tick over. And even if you might look at it and think, okay, it's not letting you see cards, if your hand is so dead and all you've got is like Pierce, you can just Piers out a Crobat energy, and Crobat lets you see cards. So don't let Piers fool you in thinking that he's not drawing you cards. He actually can. And then for our supporters, to round it off, we play 3 bosses orders, you know. We are a 2-shot deck. Well, we one-shot everything that's not a VMAX, basically. And if we hit into a VMAX and your opponent tries to hide it, bosses orders will let us find them. And again, we play 3, but, you know, we can Crobat into them a lot easier, so it's a lot easier to summon them when you want. But you know what? I wouldn't be against playing 4 in here, because you are so aggressive. Let's go on to the ball search. For Quick Ball. Quick Ball's nuts in here, because again, Quick Ball lets you see cards with your Crobat. You know, I guess in any other deck, Quick Ball can search you to Dene. But in here, it searches your Crobat, searches your Eternatus, searches your Spiritomb, searches Goon, searches Nickit. Literally searches everything apart from the VMAX. And Quick Ball basically reads plus 30 damage to your Eternatus VMAX. We then play 4 Quick Ball. No, we don't. Well, yeah, we do. But we've also played 4 Great Ball as well. Again, we need to just fill our bench as quick as we can. If we can get a turn 2, 280, we put our opponent under so much pressure, and Great Balls just let us do this. And to complete the absolute aggression, I've gone for 2 Pokeball as well. You know, flip a coin, nip heads, search your deck for any Pokemon, alright? So it can find you a Crobat, it can find you a Eternatus, it can find you the VMAX. Really good universal deck support, search I should say, but you have to flip heads. That was a 4 count at one time, but I decided to reel it in a little bit. For Switch, we're actually quite tanky at 340 HP, right? A lot of decks will struggle to one-shot us. So what we can do, we're quite an efficient attacking deck, right? So we can like tank a hit with Eternatus, you know, switch into Spiritomb, attach 1 for turn, hit him with a Spiritomb, or attach the Hooper. Switch lets us have that universal deck movement. What it also lets us do is make sure we get our Nickits off as often as we can if we want it. We then play 2 Energy Switch, again just to help us surprise attackers out of nowhere really. Like, you know, if your opponent sees you've got 2 energy on Eternatus VMAX and no energy elsewhere, he might think you can't actually get another Eternatus VMAX this turn. But if you just attach to VMAX and then Energy Switch, it lets you do that. So it just lets you keep up tempo and really surprise your opponent. We then play 1 Reset Standard sort of combat potential card. Like, let's say our Eternatus VMAX does go down for whatever reason quite early. We can stamp, hit him with a Spiritomb, and, you know, hopefully try and get back tempo that way. And then the only sort of defensive card we have in the list is a Black Market. Like, we're not really reliant on stadiums with this deck at all. You could argue maybe a Viridian, or maybe even a Power Plant to turn off your opponent's Dedenes. That seems good. Or even a Chaotic Swell, I guess. But I guess Black Market, you know, gets us good value. You know, if your opponent carries an Eternatus VMAX while Black Market's in play, they only take 2 prizes, right? So you can try and force your opponent to knock out 3 Eternatus VMAX, which is absolutely bonkers. So Black Market is quite cool for this. Onto the energy. We now play 2 Capture Energy. Capture Energy is really nice in the sense that because Eternatus only needs 1 Dark, you can attach this Capture Energy to fulfill the colorless part of the attack cost and get out another Pokemon, get it onto your bench. So it's going to let you get out Spiritombs or Hoopers or stuff like this, or Galarian Zigzagoon, just to help you maths fix. So it's like having an extra ball search really. It's quite cool. Note as well, you can attach this to the Eternatus V to do the Eternatus attack and get another Pokemon from bench. Deck, I should say. 2 Hide Darkness Energy. This is like Floatstone on an energy while it's attached to dark types. Again, given that Eternatus VMAX, free movement is absolutely... You have so much control if you have a hide energy attached to a VMAX. Lets you move around, lets you be super tanky, all that good stuff. And it's just a bit bonkers. Note you can also Pierce this out. So Pierce can also act as a switch and let you draw cards with Crobat. It's absolutely bonkers. And then to round out the list, we play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Dark Energy, baby. And yeah, this is my starting point of Eternatus list for sure. I mean, we played some games with it and I absolutely love it. Like, I can tell this is a deck I'm going to be playing for a long time. You know, super linear, super straightforward. There's not a lot of room to make mistakes, really. It's just bench some Pokemon and hit your opponent as hard as you can. You know, with stuff like Energy Switch. I mean, you can even, this can go so many ways. You can go down like the Ariados list, right? So you can, you know, be Guzmering your opponent's evolution Pokemon. You can go down Super Scoop Ups, right? Energy Switch and Super Scoop Up seems super strong as well. So there's so many ways to take the list, but I think this is a cover yourself, all corners. You know, I just want to get Eternatus out and do 280 turn 2, 270, sorry, turn 2. This list will help you do that whilst having some combat potential with stamps and energy switches as well. And having your early... make your opponent dead draw with the early nick it as well. So let me know what you think of the list. Let me know what you play, all that good stuff. Leave it in the comments. I love reading your comments as always. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to be putting out a new Darkness Ablaze deck at least once a day for the longest of time. Go check out the playlist. That'll be in the description so you can see all my other Darkness Ablaze content. Okay, but thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you all next time.